Welcome back to the Accessible Art History YouTube channel. This week, we are going to be discussing two of history's most famous portraits, the Mona Lisa and the girl with the pearl earring. They represent some of the biggest enigmas in the history of art and are beloved because of it. In this video, we are going to explore the similarities and differences that make these works so famous. Before we dig deeper into the analysis, it is important to understand the background of each of these works. We are going to start with the Mona Lisa. This work was painted by the great Renaissance polymath Leonardo da Vinci between 1503 and 1507. In France, where she resides, she is known as La Joconde, based on her identification as Lisa del Giocondo, a Florentine noblewoman. She is often considered to be da Vinci's best work and the most famous painting in the world. What makes the Mona Lisa so beloved? First of all, Leonardo da Vinci proclaimed her as such. He was often heard telling people that she was his masterpiece. In fact, she ended up in France because he brought her with him when he went to the service of King Francis I. However, there are other artistic reasons for her fame. One of the most notable details is the hazy landscape that sits behind her. This technique is called sfumato and is one of Leonardo's trademarks. In addition, her half smile and amused expression have captured the imagination of viewers for centuries. Now let's move on to our second work. The Girl with the Pearl Earring is one of the most famous paintings by Johannes Vermeer. He was a part of the Dutch Baroque movement and painted this portrait around 1665. Vermeer's life and work tend to be quite a mystery for art historians. To this day, we don't know who the sitter is, though it's possible that it does not matter because this work can be categorized as a trony, or a painting that isn't necessarily a portrait but does show a person. Regardless of her identity, this woman has captured the public's attention for centuries. She turns towards the viewer, as if they entered the room behind her. Her eyes are wide and intelligent, lips are full and slightly parted, as if she's about to say something. These details are so compelling that they nearly distract from the ornate turban and impossibly large pearl that the girl is wearing. Now that we've established the background on these paintings, it's time to understand which details both artists employed to give these works such an enigmatic air. The first one is in the eyes. In the Mona Lisa, Da Vinci painted her eyes slightly squinted. Is it because she's about to laugh or because she's in deep thought? We simply don't know. Vermeer also uses eyes as an important detail in The Girl with a Pearl Earring. They are large and curious. She takes in the viewer, almost with caution, assessing them. This creates a relationship between the sitter and the viewer and makes them wonder, what does she think of us? In both of these paintings, there's a lot to focus on in the women's mouths. Mona Lisa's smile is perhaps one of the most famous in art. It is barely detectable, just a slight upturn on the corners. Yet it still reaches through her face and up to the eyes. It makes the viewer wonder what she finds so amusing. We want in on her secret, to join in on the fun. Although the girl with the pearl earring portrays a different emotion, her mouth still plays a large part. Her lips are slightly open, as if she's about to speak to us. Her position indicates that the viewer startles her, entering into the space behind her. Is she going to reprimand us for startling her? Or does she recognize us and is going to greet us? We simply don't know. There are some differences in techniques between these two works. Despite this, they still serve the same purpose, creating an artistic enigma. First off is the element of formality. The Mona Lisa was most likely painted on the occasion of Lisa del Giocondo's wedding. She sits very straight with her hands folded delicately in front of her. But why does she have that smile? In Renaissance Italy, weddings were serious occasions. It makes the viewer curious about the situation. The girl with the pearl earring, on the other hand, is quite informal. The viewer is in her space and approaches her from behind. The degree of familiarity begs the question of the nature of the relationship. Who is she to us? Without an identity, it's impossible to know. The final detail is the matter of the background. In the Mona Lisa, there is a hazy landscape behind the sitter. There are no landmarks, so the viewer is unable to identify exactly where she is. This creates a timeless quality to the work. However, in The Girl with a Pearl Earring, there is no sense of space and time. She sits in front of a black void. This makes it difficult for the viewer to grasp when and where this work was supposed to take place. These two works are some of the most famous in art history, and for a good reason. The Mona Lisa and The Girl with a Pearl Earring use many details, some similar and some different, to create enigmatic portraiture. For centuries, they have captured our collective imagination and will likely do so for the rest of time.